scheduled meeting that was rescheduled as a result of Hurricane Sandy. So call to order, can you please read the public notice?
Adequate notice of this meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act, mailing the schedule of this meeting to the Express Times and North Star Ledger newspaper, posting a copy on the Township bulletin board, and filing a copy with the Township clerk.
Can you please join me in the salute to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Perez.
Here.
Siegel.
Here.
Emiliani.
Here.
Valari.
Here.
Torello.
Here. Now at this time, can I have a motion to open the meeting up for public comment for agenda items?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone wishing to make public comment, please come up and state your name. Seeing no hands, for those in attendance, is there a motion to close public comment period?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to approve the monthly minutes for September 20th, 2012?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any comments on the minutes? Roll call?
Perez.
Yes.
Siegel.
Yes.
Emiliani.
Yes.
Valari.
Yes.
Torello.
Yes. And can I have a motion to accept the monthly reports for the court and police?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any comment? Roll call?
Perez.
Yes.
Siegel.
Yes.
Emiliani.
Yes.
Valari.
Yes.
Torello.
Yes. And now can I have a motion for the payment of bills in the amount of $678,341.67.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Can I say, I just want to ask as far as the bills, I haven't had a chance to really look at the full listing. Have we gotten the bill for the auditor yet? Is that in this? So we don't have that yet, okay.
I don't think so. I didn't see it in there. Roll call?
Perez.
Yes.
Siegel.
Yes.
Emiliani.
Yes.
Valari.
Yes.
Torello.
Yes. And now, are we doing a budget update? Lorraine, you have something to,
Yeah, that's good.
is that the transfer?
Yeah, pretty much. I just had a couple of quick items if I can, just real small things.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I wanted to apologize for yet again missing the agenda, but my computer was, I don't know if you technically call it on fire or
We heard.
just had a sparky, smoky incident, but that computer acts as the server for Edmunds, so we had a delay in tax and sewer payment entering and purchase order entering and bills creation and budget reporting. So I had every intention of printing out a beautiful budget report, getting it to Kim to on the agenda, but I missed it again. But I did distribute tonight a transfer resolution, and for backup for it, I did include a budget report just for current funds, so you can see where the money is left and where it is needed. I imagine that's something that you would want to peruse at your leisure, insightful reading. But the transfers for tonight would make it available, possible, so that I can pay December bills.
Okay.
I will have at least one more transfer resolution, but I just have to see how we're going to work out, so I know where money is absolutely will be available.
Understood. And then I think that will help us too in terms of like next year, in terms of baseline things, because you'll have at least a historical basis.
Hopefully next year I'll be able to give you a much more accurate presentation since I have a little experience.
Right.
And this is far more detailed.
Yes. I did have not a run-in, but a couple of some heated exchanges with two, just today, another vendor, a third vendor. Vendors are being promised by employees, not myself, that they will get payment. And yeah, we'll get that on the meeting and we'll get that paid and you can have a check tomorrow for that. And vendors are not happy about that when they call and I tell them, well, no, we don't even have a signed purchase order for you yet. It's not that our process is so extensively delayed. It's that someone gets a job done and they tell the vendor, yeah, Hank, I'll get you paid tomorrow. and that's just not the case. So I was hoping that we could have an agreement that maybe employees would just defer all questions from vendors regarding actual purchasing process and payment to my office, myself or Mary Ann. Then
Yeah.
we would get, yeah, they'd get a well-informed and accurate response.
Yeah, first of all, I agree, it should be that way, but second of all, as a vendor, providing goods or services to a municipality, they know the process. So, I mean, for a vendor to be upset, if the vendor is that clueless or upset, maybe we should be looking at other vendors, because when they're doing work for municipality, they know that it would be illegal to be cutting checks until, the township committee has had a chance to review it and do its process, and they know, by way of publication, we meet once a month. And if those terms are not acceptable to the vendor, I would just say whoever the vendor is, they're not acceptable to Greenwich Township. And if they continue to cause that kind of, in other words, if a simple clarification and a streamline of communication doesn't do the trick, I would just state that we need to look at vendors who are well understand New Jersey law and the obligations of a municipality and the constraints that we operate under. It's really as simple as that. There's really not open for discussion. It's not that we can change the terms. It is what it is, and Greenwich Township conducts itself the way the other 559 municipalities in the state of New Jersey do. So it should not be a surprise to them.
So this isn't anything to do with delayed payments or anything, this is more around promises and just unrealistic expectations.
Right. Like there's a meeting Thursday night and a vendor talks to an employee that was very much involved in, say, maybe an installation process. And that employee tells them, well, yeah, we have a meeting this Thursday night, you'll have a check on Friday.
What's our standard terms? Do we have a
We
blanket
don't
standard
necessarily,
term?
yeah, we don't necessarily have terms, but the cutoff for the bill list is normally Monday when there's power to the building and no fires.
Right.
But maybe we should explore some standard terms, whether it's 30
Yeah,
or
well,
45 days, and say,
Yeah.
that's it. It's
Elaine
45
had
days, and if we're
suggested
behind
that.
that,
I remember you
saying
that.
Yeah, the problem would be though, if we get an invoice in one day and we get that purchase order out to the vendor that next day, if they take 7 days to get it back to us signed,
And it's not by a
and
certain
that
date of the
seventh day,
month.
yeah, so it would have to be such an extensive explanation about, well, it has to be back to us the Friday prior to the third Thursday of each month.
Or the
Do
10th of
I just-
every
Yeah.
month, or the 10th of each month or
So
something.
it would be a little difficult. Elaine had suggested maybe getting a stamp or just printing something on the bottom of all the purchase
We can
orders.
explain those terms to them and say, this is how we operate, we want to do business with this town, and this is how we do things, this is what you pay.
A lot of times, just to understand your point, a lot of times what you're talking about is local businesses that we go to have repairs done or get something done, and they're expecting, well, the township has the money, they're gonna get it done. And it's not that we don't have the money, it's just our process. And our process is necessary in order to meet statute. So,
The problem is I don't have the chance to explain the process to a
Yeah.
vendor because another employee has interceded and inserted themselves in the purchasing process and has misinformed the vendor. So they would have no further.
I think if you're asking this committee to be able to send a memo out to the other departments clarifying this, I don't think is there any objection to that? I mean, I think that would be helpful, so
Okay, all right.
go ahead and do that.
All right, the last item is I began the corrective action plan. According to New Jersey State statute, I have 60 days from the date the audit report was received. So I got up to number 9 of 19 today, just in a couple of hours. So hopefully I'll have that ready in the next 2 weeks, and I'll definitely get that to Kim within the 60-day time frame.
Great, thank you.
great.
Go ahead, thank you.
With that, can I have a motion to adopt resolution, there's no number on it, 2012-82, which is a resolution authorizing the transfer of current fund appropriations?
Is there a total amount on that, Joe?
No. No, but if you give me a second, that is probably what Bob would have wanted, right?
Yeah.
Let's do, this is 20,700, do 20,700 plus 4,700 plus 8,100. what's the total?
33.5.
Okay. So, with that, if I can redo the, since no one made a motion, can I have a motion for resolution, to adopt resolution 2012-82, authorizing the transfer of current fund appropriations in the total amount of $33,500?
I'll make a motion.
A second.
Any comment? Roll call?
Perez.
Yes.
Siegel.
Yes.
Laurie.
Yes.
Miliani.
Yes.
Toriello.
Yes. Oh, I see, the number was on the agenda, just not on the resolution. I just saw that. Sorry,
Bad
Ken.
for nothing?
Yeah, it's all right, it's all right. Okay, anything else?
No, that was all I had, thank you.
Okay.
Oh, we have two welcomes.
Which are the redemption?
Yes.
Okay.
tax
Have a motion to adopt resolution 2012-86, which is a municipal tax lien redemption in the amount of $4,514 for block 23.26, lot 1.
Make that motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Perez.
Yes.
Siegel.
Yes.
Miliani.
Yes.
Laurie.
Yes.
Toriello.
Yes. And can I have a motion to adopt resolution 2012-87, also municipal tax lien redemption in the amount of $1,767.02 for block 23.26, lot 1?
Make a motion.
Second.
Comment? Roll call?
Perez.
Yes.
Siegel.
Yes.
Miliani.
Yes.
Laurie.
Yes.
Toriello.
Yes. Okay. And with respect to the second reading for ordinance 2012-17, we're going to table that, and we will do that at our next scheduled meeting.
Correct, because it was not advertised for tonight.
Okay.
It was advertised for the 8th.
Okay. Yeah, so just to play it safe.
To the residents of which you have that.
Yeah, right. And we also, just while we're on this topic, I forwarded to you the email from the EPA, right? So you'll be able to,
Teresa.
yes.
And I responded back to Teresa, and I gave her 3 dates.
Okay, all right, so
I gave
we're,
her the 27th of November and the 5th and the 6th of December.
okay, all right.
To choose from.
So we're just waiting to hear back from them.
Right.
Okay, very good. Finance law resolution 2012-83, let's see, which is this? Okay, the next item on the agenda is a proposed resolution to appoint Lorraine as the sewer collector in a compensation of a annual salary of $5,500, and she has been overseeing that task since the beginning of the year, uncompensated, and has been taking care of that, and it's not part of the shared services agreement.
That is true. I will make that motion.
That's what 5,500 do?
Yes,
Mayor?
yes, correct, for a year.
2012-83.
So
Right.
is that retroactive for this year, or is that moving forward?
It would be retroactive for this year.
And what, do you recall, I don't have my, what were we paying for this before?
Do we have
This
a second
aspect?
to the motion?
This
Do we have a
aspect, as I
second?
recall, I'm going to defer to Elaine on that. My recollection was there was a line item in last year's budget for $30,000.
Yes. Mhm.
And we couldn't figure out who was getting the $30,000, but there was a line item for $30,000 that was coming out specifically, again, for what those services that were provided. I don't have clarity on that. I just know that there was an expenditure last year of $30,000. So this would take care of whatever needs to be done in connection with the sewer collection for the total amount of $5,500.
I just note that the resolution itself says that it's appointing Lorraine to serve as sewer collector for the township at an annual salary of $5,500, and that the appointment is retroactive February 1st. So one could read this resolution to say that you're appointing her as the sewer collector at an annual salary of $5,500. Is that the intent, or is the intent just to make a retroactive payment of $5,500?
I think it's my understanding is it's the former.
It's the first.
Okay. I just want to,
Yeah.
just be
Yeah.
clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other comment?
I'll
I
second.
already made a motion.
Okay, roll call.
Perez,
Yes.
Siegel,
Yes.
Miliani,
Yes.
Larick.
Yes.
Torriello.
Yes.
So then are we getting savings out of this, 24.5?
I would say
Yeah.
from last year's, absolutely, yeah,
I
that's
don't,
correct.
Dan, I don't think it's that clear, the
I-
24.5.
Yeah, I just calculated the salary for last year, and I believe it was a little over $20,000. 23.
But you have other people doing sewer work as well, you're overseeing it.
Correct.
So of
Sewer
the
and
30,000, someone else is doing work and getting paid, right? So you have to kind of take everything into
Yeah, I
consideration,
think
not
it's,
just this $5,500.
No, it's absolutely not.
But that's what we were just doing.
But
5 hours.
we're saying that because
Yeah,
there's
the
been
other-
no one paying to oversee it. She has been doing that, and it's at a rate of $5,500, which is minimal from what we were paying before. Do we have all the figures
Yeah, I'm not
about
gonna, no, I don't have the figures with me.
Exactly.
Right? I mean,
I don't-
I wish I knew we were gonna do this tonight, so,
Well, it's in the book.
well, Elaine, I work full-time, okay? Thank you.
That's,
Yeah, when does
All right,
that
we've
take
already
place?
voted on this, so let's move on. The next item on the agenda, I just wanted to provide everybody with a storm update. First of all, just at the outset, I want to say a special thank you to Kim, because it was a particularly hectic week. I know, the phones, when we could get through to one another, and that's my
Text
fault
calling.
because of my AT&T carrier, no offense AT&T, but you were horrible, was very difficult. Also, a special thanks to Chief of Police and Fire Chief Mexi, and to Deputy OEM Tom Kalari, who I know Gary was here tonight, was called into 911, so he had spent most of his time at the county, and the folks who were local here on the ground really did an excellent job in filling in and coordinating and keeping everybody really abreast of what was going on, just so that the residents understand what we did as a township prior to Hurricane Sandy coming in. As the reports seemed to indicate that this was a real storm and it was coming, we had a meeting here at the town. Well, first on Friday before the storm, I had reached out to Kim and asked that the DPW department go around the town, make sure that all of the storm drains were clear of any debris or leaves in anticipation of the storm, and that all of the generators would be fired up and tested, as well as all of our chainsaws, to make sure that we were all in working order, prior to the storm hitting. And also asked Kim to reach out to our supplier to try and get an emergent delivery of fuel. We weren't successful on that, but we at least reached out and tried in advance. So that was Friday. Saturday we had a meeting with Chief of Police, the Fire Chief, Kim, myself, Tom, and OEM coordinator Gary Hill, all to exchange contact information, make sure we had a clear understanding of a chain of command in terms of who would be communicating what, and discussions such as canceling Halloween in front of the storm, and what we would, the criteria we would consider to reschedule that. And so that was Saturday in terms of preparedness. We reached out to Home Depot and secured, I believe it was 6 pallets of drinking water to make sure that we had an adequate supply for the residents. And that was all Saturday. When the storm hit, and most of the town, we were at 90% of the town lost power. Not 90% of Greenwich Township lost power. It was what's that?
Except for the mayor and the engineer.
Except for where the mayor and engineer live. It was really extensive. And in reaching out to, I'm just going to be blunt. The JCP&L contact that was assigned to Greenwich Township was just patently horrific. Unresponsive, not returning phone calls. When we did receive a phone call, we got false and misleading information consistently. It got to a point where early on, I enlisted the IT department in the Torriello household, better known as Zoe Torriello, my 14-year-old daughter, who established a Facebook page, which we got up and running quickly to be able to disseminate to folks without power. We were able to coordinate a charging center at the Presbyterian Church, soup kitchen, get information out. I was able to, I got in contact immediately with the governor's office, Congressman Garrett's office, Senator Doherty's office, and Assemblyman DeMayo's office. And it was my intent to become the proverbial squeaky wheel. And it worked. And really, while all of the elected officials' offices were very responsive, I have to say a particular thank you to Assemblyman DeMayo's office. It was his office that gave me a secret contact within JCP&L, who is now in my speed dial in the phone, and she is and was amazing. And the minute she got involved, I mean the minute, it was within 4 hours after she got involved that I was told Kennedy Mills is going to go back online. Then, we're going to work across. And she had a plan. She actually, unlike the other gentleman who just was making stuff up as he was going along, you could actually hear her opening the maps. Here's the problem. And she explained everything to me in terms of Greenwich Township. Most of the power on the other side of town comes from Flemington, New Jersey. There's a station in Flemington that goes up to Holland Township, and there's a substation, Hawk Substation. Hawk Substation was severely damaged, and it was the Hawk Substation that was causing all the problems. What, in me constantly calling and saying, you gotta do something, she was the one who came up with, really, I gotta get you off my back, so I have to think of something. She's the one who came up with the idea of disconnecting Greenwich Township from Hawk and reconnecting it to an Alpha substation, which is not supposed to be done. That's what she did. That's why we went back online. Whether we have now been quietly reconnected to Hawk, I don't know, and I don't care, but she literally thought outside of the proverbial box and was able to say, how can I reconnect? And that's why you saw large chunks of the town going back up quickly. It was because of her efforts. She was truly amazing. So I just only wish that we didn't have this.
Tell Alpha.
We just only wish we didn't have this 2-day delay, to ultimately get it. But that's really how we were able to get back up. And then it's just other efforts like, fire chief coming up with the idea of, coordinating non-potable water to residents on wells so they can, they're able to, to flush their toilet. I mean, it truly was a collaborative effort to really get to the residents what we could, as quickly as possible, and just really everybody needs to be, commended with that. I don't think there's anything else. Am I forgetting something?
Presbyterian Church.
I did say the Presbyterian Church, and I also believe the emergency squad also opened up their doors as a charging center. So I don't think I got to thank them. So the emergency squad and the Presbyterian Church opened up their doors for residents to power their PDAs. And you realize in a situation like this, when you're out of power, how integral everybody's smartphones are in terms of communicating with the world. And without charging it, they're not too smart. You're not able to get information or to disseminate information. So, we thank everybody for being a part of that effort. One final, I guess that's it, right? Nothing else? Anything else that I'm missing? On this one little thing? No? Oh, yeah, you know what, there is, thank you. One of the every day there were telephone conferences at 1 o'clock with the governor, and at 4 o'clock there were JCP&L conferences. By and large, most of them serve the interests of the governor's office and JCP&L in terms of disseminating information, like commercials of what they were doing in response to Hurricane Sandy. And a lot of it was helpful information from a general sense, but not so much Greenwich Township specific. But on one of those calls, the director of FEMA had joined the conference call and stated, and Lorraine, I'm looking at you now, there was an express statement that FEMA would be providing funds to every municipality to cover the cost of like branch cleanup. And we've had a lot of inquiries from the residents, what am I doing with the branches? And I think we need to, and I'm just gonna, my initial impression is, I think in the short term, immediate, we need to have the chipper set up here at Town Hall, allow people to drop branches off, and then we can have our DPW chip for the residents, okay, as an interim measure. And then, Lorraine, I don't know if it would be at DCA or or where we would get that information on whether or not FEMA has officially made some determination as to how municipalities can get funds. If so, what is available that we can go out as well as having people bringing branches, whether it's to curbsides or, I don't know how we assess a second tier response to the debris without input from FEMA. So I think in the short term, my recommendation would be that we at least make our chipper available and let people bring stuff down to get rid of it. We can do that without any needed funds from FEMA.
But if there is, if we could check, then that would maybe even cover some of the DPW salaries for people to go around and collect, because there is an awful lot of branches that just haven't been addressed at all on grounds, and maybe
I think we have
that's.
to kind of be specific because, there's the trees down and everything. I don't think you want our DPW like sawing up large.
Somebody's back.
Yeah, I'm talking about broken
agree.
branches, but in
I
fact,
agree.
their salaries may be covered. We have to just check that.
No, but I don't know how you draw the line in terms of what you take and what you don't take and where it is. And I've heard anecdotally, I think from Kim in the past, when we've tried to provide a level of response, it turned into like garbage day where people were landscaping and everything else. And I think we can at least maybe on this one define it as tree limbs. Like if it's not a tree, like bushes, shrubs, no. Like maybe we just have to draw the line there and just say trees, tree limbs, branches. Yeah, that's why I'm looking to you as the edge.
Somewhat familiar with in some other communities, the way they set it up. When they made the announcement, I don't know if we're ready for this yet, they set up a start date, and they let the residents know that, okay, effective December 1st, pick a date, that the DPW will be driving around, picking up and chipping tree branches. You put a maximum diameter on what they can accept. That's going to be a function of the chipper. 12 inches is somewhat typical, but I don't know what kind of chipper we have. So, because if it can't go in the chipper, it shouldn't be out of the curb. Those guys can't be sorting through stuff. This has got to go. They got to, move this along. And you have to somehow put in the notice that this is intended solely for tree branches that are a result of the storm, but you're never going to get away from people using it as an opportunity to get rid of stuff. And to police that, I don't think there's a way. What'd you say, couch?
As long as it's not.
So this way, if
So-
they have to bring it down, they won't be bringing so much out what they have laying in their yard.
Yeah.
But as a practical matter, some people just may not be able to bring down because they don't have a pickup truck or access to it or whatever,
Or get back.
or get back. But that's what son-in-laws are for.
And
So,
yeah, and you tell them they're gonna make one trip, so you got one shot, and I found, at least I've heard, anyway, I'm certainly more familiar here, but, that's proven successful in some other communities, in the county. So there's just some food for thought.
Should we list in the advertisement, like sections like effective on whatever day?
We'll make it
Lincoln Farms
December
and
3rd
Greenwich
because that's a
Chase
Monday.
is, that's where they're gonna start, and then break it down to different subsections in the town. So that people know, like, on the 10th, Lowe's Hollow and Rickline, that's what, so that we can give them a time frame with that.
I would be careful of that, only because the guys aren't gonna know how fast they're gonna be able to
No,
go.
no.
So if you start scheduling them, they may fall way behind, or they may be way ahead, where all of a sudden they get to Rickline Hill Road
There's
2
no-
days ahead of when, so I would, just a start date, the stuff's better be out there, and we're gonna make the rounds, we're gonna come by one time. I mean,
And an
you're
end
providing
date,
a service.
if we can do
If
an
the
end
stuff
date
is out
at
there
least.
for a week, well, stuff's out there for a week.
Yeah.
and people will understand, they will
I would
understand
hope
if
they
you're
would.
doing something for it. That's true.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, if John or Joe and the boys can give you a schedule, that's better. But they're not gonna know how, God only knows what they're gonna get when they start driving around.
Well, yeah, because there's a lot of roof damage too, so hopefully people won't put their
Well, we just have to tell them that that stuff just
Well, yeah,
stays.
well, and you guys gotta pick, if there's a couch out
Right.
in the road, obviously.
I was shocked to see one on the side of in the development.
Is
Yeah,
our
set.
chipper movable, is it portable, that
Yeah.
you can go around and we have to truck
It
it over
hitches right
to?
onto the back of the pickup
Okay.
truck. So they would be able to chip
And move.
and put the wood chips up into the truck.
Right,
Just to
okay.
send the chipper around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they could stuff,
Yeah.
if people put stuff out that's inappropriate, you leave it.
Then just leave it.
And you put that in the note, if they put stuff out that's not,
Can you speak with John about this?
he's gonna be happy.
That's why I just said, Tanya, can you please speak with him?
All right, so why don't we do that? We'll do a start date.
Can we do a motion on this and all official from the township?
Sure,
On this?
I'll make a motion to provide a schedule for residents for the DPW to trying to think of it, I'd say to pick up branches of a certain diameter to be determined by a DPW, depending upon what the chipper can
Capacity
handle.
of the chipper.
Yeah, the capacity of the chipper.
Do we have to vote if they need overtime to do this? I don't know if they do or not.
I would say just do it during normal hours and
Normal
schedule
business
normal
hours.
business hours, and it'll get done when it gets done in normal business hours.
Okay, you have a motion.
I'll second.
Comment? Roll call.
Perez?
Yes.
Siegel?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Miliani?
Yes.
Real?
Yes. And Lorraine, you'll follow up, and I guess I mean, I've been getting emails. Gary, have you heard anything specifically from FEMA regarding funding for this?
I'll put in for a public assistance request today.
Okay. Because I know, again, he said it verbally, and I've been getting updates from the governor's office, but I haven't seen anything specific regarding funding for this project that we're discussing, which is really,
The salaries for the DPW workers would fall
Yep,
under
I-
the emergency protective orders, and that would have had to been done for trees that were in the roadway, blocking the roadway.
This
This
is
type of
different.
work is not gonna be covered.
Okay.
More than likely. I mean, it doesn't hurt to put in for it, I'm not reject it, but I
Right.
think.
The governor said to do as much as we can.
yeah. But I understand that. Okay. Is there anything else that you, no? Okay. And then finally, just to update the committee, there were 2 resignations on the planning board to the planning board chair. The planning board chair also tendered his resignation. I had a conversation with him this week, and I have, after accepting his resignation, I asked him if he would consider a reappointment to the planning board, and he accepted, and he has been appointed to the Class 4 position that expires next December 31st, 2013. He is taking the place of resigned member Charlie Stillman. And Kathy Cullen, who was an alternate, was alternate one who resigned. I reached out to her and asked her to accept an appointment again as an alternate, and she did. She is now alternate 2, which expires next December 31st of 13. So,
Can I ask a question?
sure.
If I understand correctly, Tom's appointment expired at the end of this year.
Correct.
So if he resigned, why are we reappointing him? I mean, there must have been a reason that he resigned, right? So why are we reappointing him before the new committee?
Because I asked him to come back on, and he accepted it. So I've appointed him.
Yeah, but as far as the process, right? The new committee or whoever's going to be mayor normally would do the new appointments. The fact that he resigned and he has another month for his appointment, I'm still not understanding why you'd be.
Because I think
appointing
the township needs him, and I think the township needs his leadership, and I've asked him to come back on, and he has. So he's accepted the position.
Okay, well, I'm not necessarily talking about the person, I'm asking about the process, right? So if it was meant that appointments should be 6-year terms versus 3 or 2 or 1, that's what they would be. So it seems to me like we're going out of process a little bit by someone resigning and then we're appointing someone for another full term.
The process is appropriate. And it's-
Can you,
I could
understand
defer
how the
to
process
Brendan
is
if
appropriate.
you'd like to, but.
Yeah, you also ran it by John Drill, didn't you? John Drill was on board with
Absolutely.
this.
I'm not talking about Tom. I'm not talking about the person.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the process because Tom's appointment expires at the end of this year. In the normal process, right, when someone resigns and there's a new committee coming on, that new committee or the mayor, whomever that's going to be, would make those appointments for the upcoming year.
The new committee will next year make an appointment on the one Class 4. That's still open. We'll make an appointment, and we'll make an appointment on the one alternate. So that's correct.
So you feel this is an ethical process that you're
Oh, absolutely.
going through, really?
Absolutely. That's why I did it. I'm just communicating to you what I've done. Okay, so.
Oh, I understand, but I have
Yes,
a question.
you're asking me if it's ethical.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
And I would tell you this, that your question in and of itself is offensive because everything that I have done and everything that I do is ethical, and I'm not going to sit here and debate with you my ethics.
Your reason for doing this? Your rationale?
I've explained to you.
I didn't hear rationale.
Is there anything else?
Well, Joe, I'll be honest with you. I've heard you say numerous times that you teach ethics at a college, right? And the fact that you were going totally out of process and handling this inappropriately, I think is unethical.
Well, then
Unethical.
I would commend you to understand local government
Oh, I
law,
understand local
because you're
government.
saying I've gone out of process and you're saying I've done something improper, and I'm telling you what I've done is the process and it's the way that it's handled, and it is legal and ethical. Now, to the extent that you don't agree with it, that's fine.
I think anyone looking at this would question it, Joe.
Okay.
I have one question about it. So he resigns, and then, you appoint him back onto the board. The position that he was in before that he resigned from.
It's open.
I understand it, that's open, right. So come 2013, can he then be put back into that position as the chairman or whatever you call it for that planning board?
No, because, well, no.
Well, yes.
Well, at the
Planning board has-
well, wait a minute, wait a minute. At the reorganization meeting for next year,
At the planning board level.
no,
Not
the
ours.
township committee level, reorganization meeting, whoever is the mayor at that time, will appoint a person as a Class 4 member
Right.
for the position that Tom has resigned from, because that term expired at the end of this year. And if I heard you right, there's also an alternate that has a term that expired at the end of this year, which is also vacant. So the mayor, at the reorganization meeting, will appoint that person. The current chair, who is a Class 4, as I understand now, has accepted the unexpired term of 2013, technically is permitted under the municipal land use law, and it's NJSA 40:55D-23, paragraph B, which says if a vacancy in any class shall occur otherwise than by expiration of the planning board term, it shall be filled by appointment as provided for the unexpired, as provided above for the unexpired term, and that appointment process above refers to the mayoral appointment. So, and I think Mr. Drill looked at this and said it was okay. So, when I first learned about it, we looked at it and said, just under municipal land use law, is it okay? So, just with the box of the municipal land use law, that is fine. So I don't know if I.
So the question is, as a group, can they vote Tom back into the position that he's stepping down from?
Yes,
Always.
As chairman.
Yes, that's for them to do, not for us.
that's for them to do, not us.
That I didn't hear,
understand.
that's what
why I'm
Brent
asking
said.
the question.
I don't think Brent said that.
Well, I was just looking, no, my answer to the question was just for the township being left. Now, what the planning board does would just be how the normal planning board acts. So if at their reorganization, they have a reorganization.
They have their
So
own
at their
reorganization.
reorg meeting, they, I guess, would have that ability. That's right.
Correct.
Their reorganization, that's where they pick the chair.
The township committee doesn't pick the chair.
And we
No.
don't pick the
Okay.
professionals either. They hire their own.
Okay, and I'm not saying that this is some kind of, collusion or anything like that, but it just seems a little funny that the chairman of that committee would step down and then get reappointed to another position, that he would be on there for another year, and then have the possibility of being back in as the chairman of that committee again.
Well, if you look at the overall picture and one of the members has resigned that he's going to be appointed for, it's a limited amount of stay. So my assumption is Tom only, at this point in time, looks at it long-term that he can only give one more year. He may not be able to give more than one more year, where the position that he's taking is one more year.
Just an amazing sequence of events, just
It
a
is.
continued pattern of behavior.
Yep.
So that's my point. It
And
might
mine
be
too.
legal from
And
a
mine
statute
too.
perspective, but it's
Yeah.
just, it's pretty amazing that there's been a pattern of behavior all year long, and it just continues right through to the end of the year.
Well, I'm
But that's
sorry that
okay.
legal patterns of behavior cause you discomfort.
Well,
With respect to that.
unethical patterns of behaviors always cause me
Okay,
problems.
that's nice.
So you
Um,
should feel,
All right,
deal
you're up.
with your own issues.
Why don't you talk about your agenda now?
Okay, I will. Okay, so I have on my agenda item the RFP process, and because we are coming to the end of the year and we're going to need to look at appointments for professionals, I would like to have Kim advertise the RFP process immediately so that we can get bids in over the next few weeks and meet with professionals to make some decisions. And I think that's a normal process that we go through, so I would like that to begin ASAP. Yes. Actually, that's why I pulled my calendar up. I was thinking, are you able to get something out by, let's say, Monday, which is the 19th?
To advertise on the township, it goes on the township
Yeah.
website.
You have
Website.
You have internet now.
Well, the internet's down right now tonight, which, but we'll get it up and going. So, Dave DeBoer,
Okay. And how long do you normally advertise it? Would we go for 2 weeks or?
we should be out for 10 days.
I would do 10 days as a minimum.
10 days is the minimum.
You might want to go out long.
So 10 days, it's
You need to
10-day
receive it
minimum
back and review it.
before you come back with a deadline. So if I get it up Monday, count out 10 days, I don't know where that falls, but if you want to give it more time than 10 days.
All right, that's good.
I mean, where are we? Do you want at least like 2 weeks before the end of the year to look at this stuff?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So
Let me just look at our calendar. How about by the 21st of December?
20, you need to have the RFPs
So
in?
all the RFPs will be submitted by the 21st?
That's too late.
And then you have the whole week to the 23rd?
No, well, that's Christmas week.
The 14th?
Why don't we, let's see. Why don't we say that we would want them in by the 14th, Friday the 14th?
Friday the 14th.
Because that way gives us 2 weeks before the end of the year.
Okay.
And which positions?
The ones that we normally put out for.
Well, we
for
haven't
these.
normally put them out. Last year, I had requested that it be done. It had not normally been done by Greenwich. You didn't do it for the 2 years when
Yeah,
you were
we
mayor.
did.
No, you didn't.
Yes, we did.
No, you didn't.
You did
Yes,
not.
we did.
No, you didn't.
You did not.
Okay, I'm gonna learn. So what positions did we put out for last year?
What positions would you like to be advertised?
All the professionals. Auditor, the township attorney, which ones did we put out last year, Ken?
Okay, auditor, township attorney. I didn't do township engineer, because his term was up. And your term is up this year?
It's up.
So then township engineer. Then sewer attorney. Sewer engineer. Special counsel.
Special counsel,
Well, you have a labor attorney.
yeah, labor
Special
attorney.
Yes, well, special counsel on, it was special counsel on
He was a litigator.
COA matters
Yeah.
and all that stuff. I mean, it was store coding, so he was
Custodian
special
job,
counsel
right?
on,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. Special counsel and then labor attorney.
With, I'm not sure.
We could do for municipal prosecutor. He's a yearly appointment. Municipal public defender.
Were they included last year?
No. I mean, they're yearly appointments. These are all except for, Mike.
He's 3 years.
He's a 3-year term.
So all,
Consider that.
maybe don't do the prosecutor.
Don't do the court? Okay,
So
so
probably the ones you just named.
auditor, township attorney, township engineer, sewer attorney, sewer engineer, special counsel, on general matters and whatever, and then labor attorney.
If you want to do them, how come you wouldn't do them if you're going to do them now?
I don't know, why didn't we do them last year? You can include it. You can include it. Tom's asking why
No, I
we don't
understand.
do it.
Court? Okay, so, all right, municipal, prosecutor and municipal public defender.
And how about the judge? What's
The judge has an appointment, yearly appointment.
3 years.
Hold on.
3 years.
I brought last year, so let me just.
3 years.
I don't know.
Oh, bond counsel too, okay.
And tax.
Let me see the judge.
I know, so that's why I was doing.
Judge Novak's term expires in 2013.
At the end of 2013.
Contract negotiation.
So, I will add, bond counsel. Open space advisor?
Open Space Council was Sullivan. Is Sullivan.
I think Kim's talking
About
about what
the-
used to be TLC,
Yeah, more.
like the
slack.
firm,
yeah,
not
Yeah,
Sullivan.
that's the name of it,
But
it's
I don't-
not.
It's Conservation Resources.
Yeah,
Conservation
conservation
resources, but we
resource.
just renewed that contract, and I think it's not up.
You're
well,
right, it's like
31.
mid-year or something.
Yeah.
I don't remember,
Yeah,
but
so that's, that wasn't part of it.
we
We
hired
have
them
to get-
mid-year.
You have to get them, you have to get them like where everybody's done it one time, so you don't mentally like forget, because that's what happened with TLC.
So do you want open space advisor?
They're under contract
It's,
right
it's
now.
right.
You can't make another appointment.
Okay. All right, so I will send this to Dave for Monday, and then the deadline will be Friday, December 14th.
That's all I have.
Brian?
I want to defer this resolution until the Township Committee's had an opportunity to talk about it in closed session.
Okay.
I sent out my report a few days ago. There are a few items we need to discuss. Okay, Ravine Road, just because it's been on my report, and we've talked about it. And POHAT has obviously taken a position, and we've advised them that we don't agree with the position they've taken, but we're talking about the road within their municipality. So, my question is, in my report, if the road is impassable, so whether they want to deem it closed, I mean, it's not usable. So, are we gonna do anything? Or, because right now, if we don't do anything, and just, the road will never be reopened. And maybe that's the inevitable conclusion of this. In fact, to be perfectly honest, I don't see the road ever getting rebuilt. Because unless POHAT gets some windfall money, and, you know, well,
We know that's not gonna happen.
We know that's not
oh boy, how do you like
We
that?
also know
That's
that they
really,
just lost
we
it.
call that the
No,
Freudian
reappoint that guy.
slippage? Okay, pardon me. So again, there's no action necessary, maybe something to think about if we're gonna take a firm position. Because right now, Brent sent a letter.
Is there anything the DOT can do?
Mike, how much is it to fix that road? It's
Oh.
probably billions, right?
Well, I don't know millions, but maybe close to $1 million. Yeah, a lot. I mean, I spoke with their engineer many months ago now. Many hundreds of thousands of dollars
Okay.
permit. So, okay. So just put it in next month's report, just bring it up again for, just think about it for, okay, fine, I don't wanna, some of these items, you know, tend to drag on for a long time. Okay. The Elizabethtown Gas Project. Last month, if you recall, there was the issue of the trees. Okay. We reached out for Tim Edmonds, our contact with PSNS, their consultant. Advised him of what your preference was, which was less number of trees, greater diameter. He was going to check with Green Acres and get back to me on what Green Acres was going to agree to. He hasn't got back to me yet, so it's still an open issue, and we clearly won't, you know, that will remain an open issue. I'm sure he'll be back soon. He may be waiting for Green Acres. Okay, that's, the DOT applications were submitted, you know, on time last month. Okay. JCP now, the substation buffer. Without getting into any detail, did everybody get the email I sent that basically outlined the process and what's gonna happen? We being Elaine and I met with them right before the storm was gonna hit, so,
The nice guy.
so we don't even need to talk about it.
You're having a conversation with him, you keep me out of it.
Oh, that the same?
Oh, yes,
Oh,
it
it
is.
is.
Okay, when you didn't say a name, and I thought it might be
Oh,
someone else.
that's who it
Don't
was.
say it.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, don't
gotcha.
say.
Okay. The way it was left was that they were going to supply me with a approved plant list. We would talk about it here, decide what species we wanted to spec. We would put a little plan together, send it to them for their approval, and it would be, well, now, clearly it's gonna be next spring. So we'll continue to follow up on this, but it's kind of, that's where that's at. And it's been, I think, fairly successful. It's going along pretty quickly, fairly
And
smoothly.
they're paying for it.
No.
They should pay for it now in light of the response of Hurricane Sandy.
Well,
That's just
they
my
were going
suggestion
to,
in terms of coming with hat in hand.
actually,
That's the least they could
in the
do.
email I sent, we talked, Elaine and I brought that up in the field about their financial contribution towards this project. And Mr. Prater said that he would try, and he would talk to the powers that be and get back to us. There's a few, we're waiting for them right now to get back to us. The storm hit, they're, so, and that, again, it was right, it was the Friday before the storm was coming in, so we kind
And
of
he was
figured
clear
it.
that it probably wouldn't be till
Yeah,
Thursday.
exactly. So I sent, yeah, there's an email that went out that explained everything, okay. The Township CO checklist. I sent an email, we talked about this a little bit last month, I sent an email to everybody, well, October 26th, which incorporated Dave Barretto. Dave Barretto was the only one with any comments, incorporated his comment. It's ready to be adopted, if you will, as the quote-unquote official township building permit CO checklist.
This was 11 months in the making, right?
Yeah,
least.
longer than that, it
I
was last
know, it
year.
could be, yeah. Yeah, because it really,
It
well,
really-
we weren't having sewer subcommittee meetings for a while, it died
Yeah,
there.
you're right.
Pat Dottie, it didn't
Was-
get back to
was
me for a long
out,
time,
yeah.
so yeah, it's been a long time. It might be more than 11, it could be over a year, to be honest, but
You
thankfully.
should frame it and hang it on the wall.
Thankfully, well, it's quite a lovely document, I must say. So, it's gone through, everybody's had it, looked at it. I hope if they had anything to say, they had their opportunities, and it's ready to go. Again, not pressing or urgent, because thankfully we don't have much going on in the township. But Brent, you advised that this would just simply be a motion
Yes.
I guess, to adopt this as the official township
Correct.
building permit CO checklist?
Yes, that's correct.
All right,
I'll make a motion to adopt that as official
I'll
township
second.
checklist. Comment? Roll call?
Perez?
Yes.
Siebel?
Yes.
Clark?
yes.
Miliani?
Yeah.
Torello?
Yes.
How can we
Yeah.
enforce its use?
Well, I was going to Ms. Viscomi. Dave Barretto and Pat Dottie, just for starters,
Okay.
even though they've been copied on every email, and I even talked to Dave recently about it.
I will send it out as the official.
Yeah, just say
adopted
the action was
checklist.
taken, we should start using it.
Okay.
Then it goes for me and you, lots of people. Okay. All right. Last, but maybe not least, Cedar Alley. Okay. Remember Mr. Huff?
Yes.
Okay. And I apologize for the small maps. Our plotter.
Mike, we like the small maps.
Yeah, but no, I wasn't gonna give you big maps, but a little bigger. 11 by 17s, but because we had a plotter problem today, so we can only do it on 8.5 by 11. The bottom line is this. I can go over our analysis, our recommendations. There's really two property owners, residents, that are gonna be impacted. One is Mr. Huff, the second one is Mr. Bean. Mr. Bean, I don't think knows about any of this.
Yes, he does.
Oh, he does.
Oh, he does.
Oh, he does.
Oh, he does.
Well, isn't that,
And he's not happy.
there's a shocker. Okay. Okay,
This has been a dispute between the two neighbors.
yes. So,
How about the other people?
no, the other people is.
14 and 13.
What's 14 and 13? No, they've already, that alley should be vacated. If you go to the second sheet, the blow up of the tax map, which is it's got the
Yeah, I have it here.
amber or orange colored and the purple and then the green. Okay. The purple section, as we said, says the portion of the alley should be vacated. It's currently got stuff in it. It's being used by no one. That's easy, quick, simple, vacated. That's our recommendation.
Which one's
The
that one?
orange, that's the purple section.
Purple section.
And you gotta go to the second map, Dan, that's the big one, it's a lot easier to see.
Okay.
The orange section, that's the section in question Mr. Huff was talking about. If you vacated, which you could, there's two issues. One is, Mr. Huff would have to widen his driveway to get back to his garage because he'd only get 8 feet of that 16 feet. Which he could do. Who it really impacts is the next property, which is lot 15, which is Mr. Beam property. That would preclude Mr. Beam from accessing his garage via Cedar Alley because the property would be under private ownership, getting to his portion. But, and this is the big but, Mr. Beam has access onto North Main, which Mr. Huff does not. See, you can see the Macadam Drive?
Drive.
All right. Now, apparently, Mr. Beam likes to use Cedar Alley sometimes. And sometimes he uses it, he blocks it, you know, whatever. It's part of his driveway, I guess. That's, in essence, the problem. There's no real perfect solution here, in all honesty. And I would, if we're not going to do anything with the orange section, as far as a vacation, then I would not do anything with the purple section either, because nobody seems to care about the purple section. And you know, why spend the money to vacate the purple section if you don't have to?